Hello, I'm Bud McCord. I'm here in Brazil, South America. Welcome to Food for Thought. We are walking through the words of the Gospel of John. And the goal of our looking at the book of John, John's Gospel, is to see Jesus, hear Jesus, love Jesus, so we can live Jesus. Yesterday, we opened up with the reading of the very first verses of John's Gospel. I want to read them again. I want to make one or two points, and then I want to go on to the next portion. I hope you're well. I hope you're already focused on Jesus. Listen to these incredible words spoken or written by the Apostle John nearly 2,000 years ago, and where he tells us how we should see Jesus, what we should think of Jesus. It's as if he's giving us the conclusion of the book at the very beginning of the book. Before he tells us the story of what he witnessed as he walked with Jesus for 3.5 years and watched him eventually go to the cross and then to rise from the dead, he says to us, now as I begin this letter to you, as I begin this gospel I'm writing to you, this is how you should see Jesus as we walk together and I tell you this story. It's really a beautiful way to begin the book. And it's very interesting because everything that he writes here in this very beginning throws us all the way back to the very book of Genesis, in Genesis chapter 1, where we see God speaking, and that would be Jesus. According to John, that's Jesus speaking, and everything comes into being from the will and the mouth and the purpose of God. So this is how we will walk through this study. We will see Jesus as this person. We will see Jesus in this way. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things that were made through him. And without him, Jesus, nothing was made that was made. In him, in Jesus, was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it, or could not stop it, or could not deal with its understanding of it, did not see it clearly. Now, for today, the reading moves forward. We've just been told Jesus is the eternal Son of God. He is the Word of God. He is the Word that spoke into existence. He positions us to read this book in this way. Now watch the shift. Watch this incredible shift. There was a man. No, this is verse 6, that is. In the beginning was God. You know, we're up on the stage watching the creation of the world, and the person on that stage that we should be looking at is Jesus Christ. And then he shifts back into our world, and he begins to tell his story. He says, there was a man sent from God whose name was John. Now, if you know anything about your Bible, you know John the Baptist is one of the greatest figures, one of the greatest characters in the story of redemption. If we were to meet this man, we would just be fascinated to talk with him about his life and his death and how he related to Jesus Christ. He said, there was a man. Look at the contrast. There was a man. This is not to minimize what a human being is, but the contrast is incredible. So as we walk into this Gospel of John, we need to remember that every time we see Jesus in this story, we need to keep this contrast in mind. He is like us, but he is not like us. Jesus is with us, but Jesus is so much beyond us. The story will lose its focus if we enter into the story not realizing that the author is announcing to us that he wants us to see Jesus as the goal and the focus and the reality of everything that he wants to say. And so even the Apostle John would see himself as just a man. There was a man sent from God, his name was John. This man, and that's all he is, and that's all he can be. This man came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, to point people to the light, that they're all men and women, all human beings, that all through him might believe. He, this man sent from God, was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. That was the true light. Now he's back to Jesus. That was the true light. And this next phrase is incredible. That was the true light which gives light to every man coming into the world. Now there's a lot of ways that theologians have talked about this light that's coming into the world. But if we take Jesus back to at the beginning as being the voice of creation being created, and light came upon the earth, so everyone who's ever been born into this world and opened their eyes to the light as they come into the world, every person has been touched at their birth by the light that Jesus is. So we get a contrast in this the way we're going to look as we move through the book. Remember, we want to see Jesus, hear Jesus, love Jesus, and live Jesus. Why? Because he is the Word. He is the Creator. He is the way, the truth, and the life. Later on, John in this gospel will flesh this out all the way. But men and women, we will always remain men and women. Just like John, a man sent from God. We still hold this place in the story. We are men and women. We are those who have come into the world being given light by Jesus, because everyone that comes into the light of this world, that light came from Jesus. So there's not a person in the world that has not been touched by Jesus, the Word. It's important. John is laying this out for us so that as he walks us through what he witnessed and what he lived, we will remain in our position as just men and women, but men and women that have been touched by the power of Jesus from the moment that we entered into this world and we came into this light. That light that we're coming into today came from the voice of Jesus. The sun that rose up today, according to John, that sun that comes up today came from the voice of Jesus. He is the Word that spoke into existence. And when we look at humanity that way, and we look at this story, we see what this words when it says, there was a man sent from God. So God picks out certain people and he sends those people. And that would be what the disciples will become. Later we would call the apostles. That would be what the women would become. When Pentecost comes later on in the book of Acts, where he sends us out into the world to make disciples of every nation. It is so powerful. This is so powerful. If you can get your mind into this is not just a book you study. The Bible is, I don't disciple people to the Bible. I disciple people to Jesus. Can you see why? Because if I'm discipling people to the Bible, then the people are going to think that that's the goal. That's the end of the whole story. No, the Bible exists to get me to, in the beginning was the Word. The Bible wants to get me back to the beginning, which was Jesus, and it wants to get me to the end, which is Jesus. And I need to see this clearly. If I'm going to read this letter from John, and I'm going to respect him as the author, even though he's being inspired by God, if I'm going to respect what he's saying, then I have to position my mind as I read this letter and realize, I'm just a man. You are just a man or a woman. But the light of Jesus has touched you every single day of your life and every single day of my life. And God chooses men and women who walk in this light, and then he says, now go here and take people to the light. Take people to the light. Take people back to Jesus. I really believe it's a mistake for us to make the Bible the destination. John doesn't make the Bible the destination. He never held what we call our Bible, the New Testament, in his hands. He wrote a part of it in 2 other books and later on. So this morning, I want you, as we're going to walk into the story, I want you to meet John the Baptist. A little bit further, he's going to speak. So far, if you notice that so far, we have not heard a word from Jesus. But in a sense, everything that John is writing is from Jesus. And John understands that. And John understands that. And so when we walk through this story, we need to hold these two things. We need to hold the fact that Jesus is the Word that was with God, that is God. And he is the author of everything. And then he gives us a little bit more information where he says, that was the true light, talking about Jesus, which gives light to every man. And that means mankind, men and women, every man coming into the world. There is not a person on the planet who has not been touched already by the light that came from the voice of Jesus. I don't know about you, but that just makes... I now know that there is not a person living on this planet. I now know that there not is a person who's ever been born that has not been touched at their beginning by the beginning, the voice of the beginning, the Word. And he wants all men and women to come to the light of Jesus, to come to the voice of Jesus, to love Jesus, and then live in the light of the light. It is, to me, it's just mind-boggling. This story of Jesus, this whole understanding of my reality and your reality, it is mind-boggling. And I pray that as we move through this, that you will don't get lost in a detail here. We've read now to verse 9. That's as far as I want to go today because I'm almost speechless, which is a hard thing for me to become speechless. Because it's just mind-blowing to me that we can actually know that there is a divine reality and plan that has been going on since the moment everything was spoken into existence. And I don't know all the details of that, and I'm not a scientist, but I am a man. I'm a human being. And I long to be in the light. And in Jesus, I am in the light. Have a great day. Think on these thoughts. And I pray that today you will see Jesus. You will hear Jesus. You will more deeply love Jesus. And you will live out the fruit of his life today. You will deliver that fruit out into the world. God bless you. We'll think about this all day long. I hope we will think about this all day long. And tomorrow we'll come back again. God bless you.